earlier, we heard from Immigration Minister MarcMiller announcing measures aimed at reducing the number of international students who are issued permits to study in Canada. Here's Miller from about 30 minutes ago.
A temporary 2-year cap on new international student permits. It is the latest in a series of measures to improve program integrity and set international students up for the success in order to maintain a sustainable level of temporary residence in Canada as well.
Miller says this year Canada will cap the number of international students at 364,000. This is going to be in effect for 2 years, and it's a decrease of over 30%. The government is allocating that cap space to the provinces and territories based on their population. The number of international students has tripled in the last 10 years, something Miller blames on unscrupulous schools that look at students as a revenue source. A big announcement this morning from the government. Ottawa has unveiled a cap on the number of international students allowed into Canada. CTV's Colton Prale is standing by with more details for us. Colton, good morning to you. So we heard from the Immigration Minister less than an hour ago making this announcement about foreign students. What is the government proposing and why?
Well, it's a significant cap. It's 2 years, and what this will result in, at least this year, is the country only taking in about 364,000 international student permits. These are new applications, not those already in the country. But going forward, we could see that number drop. And depending on where you are in the country, that could drop very significantly. I'll touch on that in a second. But the basics of the way this works is the federal government is placing this cap and allowing each individual province, depending on the size of their population, to allot a certain number of international student permits, new student permits. This won't apply to postgraduate programs. It won't apply to elementary or secondary school applications. It's particularly targeting those private-public college applications, private-public partnerships that have been a really significant issue, especially in the GTA. The way this works is you usually have a public secondary institution like a college, typically outside of the GTA, who admits these students but then sends them to a private institution, usually in the GTA, but they exist all over Ontario, who then uses the same curriculum as the public school. The problem is there's no way to oversee that teaching process, and so a lot of the times these students aren't getting the education they pay for. The college makes a little bit of money by admitting the students. It increases pressure on housing because all of a sudden you have an influx of international students. Some housing experts say it could be 2-3% per year for certain cities, and so the federal government says they're challenging the integrity of the system, the integrity of the higher education system. They're taking what they say is really a blunt tool, and over the next 2 years, they're trying to rein in these numbers of new applications. Over the last 3, we've had more than 1 million international students come in on these applications. So for 2024, we're looking at about 364,000. We don't know what that number is going to be for 2025 or 2026. They say they'll reassess at the end of this year and come up with a new number. But if you're in a province like Ontario, where the vast majority of these students come to, you could see a 50% drop in new applications. It's also going to have a significant impact in the Atlantic provinces, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and in BC as well.
Okay, big announcement to start the day on day 2 of this retreat.